he determined that my kidneys were slowing down. And so a couple years later, I went on dialysis. And I remained on dialysis literally for 5 years. And until around 2020. And that's when I started getting calls from my doctors to come in and potentially get a kidney transplant. And so February of 2020, drumroll, I finally got it around my mother's birthday, which is February 25th. And so I was extremely blessed and happy to be here. And when I started recuperating, my wife and I, we started chatting, and she started asking me what did I want to do with my time, because I was just sitting around mending. And I said, you know, I'd like to write another book. And literally, I prayed about it, and something told me this book on Mr. Brady and the stage band would be excellent. So God pointed me in the right direction. I started writing From the Heart of the Hood to the Pinnacle of Paris. And 2 years later, it was published. I had watched Mr. Brady teach his students. I had gone in pre-pandemic, watched him teach his students. He had a young man named Mr. Braswell who was teaching his kids for him, doing an excellent job. And Mr. Brady and I, we chatted out front probably every Saturday for about 6 months or so. And just, you know, putting our notes together, getting on the same page, him trusting me, me trusting him, that kind of thing. So there are moments in Mr. Brady's career that stand out. And they are number one, taking the children, taking the students, and I will call them, to New Orleans on a bus ride. Where in New Orleans, Mr. Brady performed at the Sugar Bowl, which is a big deal. It was shown on national television audience here in Kansas City too. Lots of folks. And Mr. Brady had gone to the school district and said, hey, I want to take my kids down to New Orleans. But you know that school district. They told Mr. Brady, well, we don't have the money. We're not going to pay for you to go. So Mr. Brady said, well, I don't need you to. I'll raise the money myself. And I'll go. I can take my kids wherever I want to, can't I? You know, I mean, band director can take his students to perform anywhere. So he didn't have to answer to Dr. Plucker to take his kids to New Orleans, which I think is the fact that he was absolutely able to stand toe-to-toe with Dr. Plucker and take no bull is a testament to their relationship and how Mr. Brady dealt with what I would call a egocentric, kind of a Southern sensibilities about African Americans, kind of looked down on us, so to speak. That's just a fact. The other major moment is when Mr. Brady took his students to Paris in '72. Once again, went to the school district, said I received this invitation to participate in this renowned event. They said, we ain't giving you no money. You can go. We ain't giving you no money. Once again, Mr. Brady said, hey, I can take my kids where I want to. Nobody's going to decide for me where I can and can't take my children. Because I want to expose them to everything in life. I want them to see a city. I want them to smell an ocean. I want my kids to have everything that any other student have. And they went to Paris, '72. They won an international jazz band competition, which I just think deserved a round of applause. They came back to Kansas City with a huge trophy. The rest of the story, as Paul Harvey says. In '78, Mr. Owens was contacted by the library at Sumner, who was clearly sensitive to African American history and understanding of our plight. And she told Mr. Owens that there were trophies of ours, Sumner's trophies, that were dumped in a dumpster behind Sumner High School. Mr. Owens and another person, he in his van, and another person in the truck, they retrieved those trophies. And Mr. Owens placed them in his basement for about 7, 8 years or so, until they finally were able to get a relationship going with Sumner Academy, where the Academy would provide space for this alumni room that many of you have visited. And that is how the relationship has gotten better over the years, so to speak. Now it's a warm relationship where they welcome us into their facility. They kind of understand our history. These are two separate schools. And one of the things I wanted to mention is that for many years, we look at segregation as a negative. We look at it as you're lesser than. Our education was lesser than. But if you look amongst us, you will see that we are anything other than inferior. We excel, we have lawyers, we have doctors, we have athletes. We have excelled in all of the major categories of life today. And I think that is just amazing that they might have inferred that we got inferior educations and that kind of thing, but nothing proves that false than this convention and the people who are in it today. Mr. Brady, I'd like to ask you, would you come on up and answer a few questions or so? Would you like to sit down there? Come on up there, sir. Mr. Brady, when you took your kids to Paris, what was the adulation like from the people in Paris toward your students?
Well, because it was basically music, that elevation was there, and people there appreciated it more than just a regular. So
I can't hear him.
They can't hear it. They said my
Yeah. Speak on up to Mr. Brady.
He is.
Yeah.
Is there a microphone?
No, it's not.
It's been repeated.
Yeah, I would agree. Go ahead. Good. And you were saying that,
Oh, I can talk about it.
yeah, absolutely, good. Go right here. You were saying that they appreciated the music because it was, as you told me, a sharp down the street is a sharp in Stockholm, is a sharp in Paris, France, is a sharp in Scandinavia. And so music is universal.
Music is a language in itself. My biggest problem was understanding. Because I had, still can't hear me.
That's okay. Good, good. Right. Now,
I can hear you now.
Yeah. Yeah, go ahead.
I'll do my best.
That's okay.
The reason why I said that, because that's the part of what I'm talking about. I don't talk loud. I don't yell at my kids.
Never did.
Think about a child is a human being, just like anybody else. And that's one of the first things, that's where all the problems started. I had a superintendent that did not just believe that children had something. Black children didn't have anything. So that became a problem to me, because I had been going through that all through my childhood, as a child. So it first started, band was invited to New Orleans to play. I went into the superintendent's office and asked that would we be able to go. I couldn't even get past the door. No. Well, I can't tell from now. That didn't sit good with me. First of all, why? You just can't go. So I'm going to need more than that. I said, because and people coming in from Paris to sort of see what's going on. And they have to have something to show. I already said you're not going. So, not that big. I wasn't ready for it. But I will do it. I think that was the understanding too. You don't just push me down. You start pushing me, but you can't push me down. So I let it go for a little while, and I got back in touch with an organization in Paris, and they indicated how disappointed they would be and how they had already spread it the word that this band was coming in from the United States. So that sort of hit me again. You know, as I'm being hit and I'm not that smart. So, I'm not going to take it too much. So I went back in and I spoke with them again, and he said, in other words, like a boy, I told you you weren't going. Well, see, that started. Because the thing, this is, to me, you know, I know I care. Because I could, I'm doing acts of it. That's the way I felt. So I let it go for a while. I got this call from them, Paris. I have to give them an answer because if we can't come, we got hundreds of bands up and they want to come. So first of all, I contacted several of my parents, told them about it, and they agreed. We will help you. That's what I said. For the people that's in here now, you have to have background also. They have to know who you are, what you want, before they will open wide up for you. Well, I didn't need that because I had my children. There was approximately 100 in the band, and I know I was covered at home because your child, be careful, they can talk to you anything.
Now, you tell us about, you had many people contribute to going to Paris. But tell me about that one moment when you were coming out of the barbershop.
Okay. There was a guy outside the barbershop. He's in the area of the barbershop. He's always asking. When you come out, that's the first thing. But this was different. This guy called me over. He said, man, Brady, yeah, I want you to have some. And he gave me $1. And I figured, he's been getting it down the street from $1. He said, I want those kids to go. That was an incentive that made me accept. I wasn't a fighting person to a degree. I am now. But that told me that I needed to do something. So I started where you can make a donation and so forth. And believe it or not, because I didn't know, I didn't know I had as much to offer until I was told. We want those kids to go. We'll get the money for you. We want those kids to go. But I knew that they had more money than we needed to go. So we went to Paris, and it was a new experience for all of us, not just them. These kids got an opportunity to see other students from all over. It wasn't just from Paris, from all over, which means they became automatically in turn with themselves. If Mr. Brady thinks we can do this, we're going to do it. Even the practice changed while we would get ready. They became men and women, young black and young black women, black
Girls.
men. So the next time I go into the principal, not the principal, this guy was in charge of all. You got that you're gonna have to have this, you're gonna have to have parents to go in. How many do I need? How many do I?
Chaperones, right?
Chaperones.
Chaperones,
4. Taking 20 kids. The parish. 4 parents. And a little money. But see, nobody told me how stupid I was. I didn't hear all that until later. No, you're not going to be able to. So the money came in. Matter of fact, we had $25,000. I don't really know where it came from. Seriously. I mean, there were people some of the people who were not interested in education and so forth, but they still made a contribution because they saw how badly the kids were. These kids were practicing every day for 2-3 hours in the football field. Football field even on our side. They decided we're going to
Got the football players as cheerleaders, huh?
We're going to let the band get on the field. And the band, we got on the field, and make a long story short, we went to Paris. And it was amazing to me because I didn't know where we were. We won the International Jazz Festival.
Mr. Brady, you are from New Orleans, and there's a story that goes back to your childhood. Would you tell us that story about you walking down the street?
Okay. That's going to make me look.
No, that's a good story.
No, that's the way I was brought up. I mean, I wasn't brought up to be afraid. So I was going down the street, and cars were coming along, going down. In comes a white boy and a white girl. And it was me. And I was walking still. And I was taught courtesy. I don't care what color I am. I was taught courtesy. Moved over to the side and kept it. By the time they got to me, the guy was right in my face. Nigga get. I didn't give him a chance to see what he could get what. I already hit. And I haven't gotten any bigger, so, but it's up here. This was wrong. I'm not going to let you do this to me. Well, when I woke up in that morning in jail, oh yeah, put in jail.
Put in jail.
Put in jail.
For knocking a white boy down.
Yes, he was not.
Right.
What the whole story is about, you know, tell me what it's about. It's not always madness, it's always how bad you are, all these different things that people believe. Because you know, I can't be that bad because I'm not that big. It's what you have in your head and what you believe in.
Right, absolutely.
Now, Mr. Brady, you must have been extremely excited to be able to take your kids back to New Orleans where you grew up. That must have been just heartwarming to be able to take your kids back to where you grew up.
Well, that's the other part of it. I want these bands that I got, we go to New Orleans. We found there that they had something else. See, in other words, to me, it's as much as you can give the child. That's what makes it. Spanking, beating, slapping, cursing, showing them who they are and what they can do. To me, that was what they are. So they grew up, and some of them here. And I feel good about that because as the talks that I do to teachers and so forth, it's not how much you know, it's how much you can teach the child. You may be the world's greatest instructor, but if you can't get that point over to the child, he's not going to ever be the younger. It's whatever. He's not going to be very much more than what you already did. I'm not a talker. I believe in doing. If you go on the front door, I always say, what you, come on. Before they know it, they're going to be up there with me. And that the student leadership is something that we need for our kids. They're looking for someone to lead them, not beat them on.
Now, which leads me to my next question. You use the track across to the east of the of Sumner as a kind of training regiment and disciplinary regiment. How did that work for you? How? Because it I got to shake you, but tell me how it worked for your band. Clearly helped on those warm days and all that, marching all that sun and.
They didn't have time to think about that. They don't want to go out and get on the field. Because they know when they was on that field, they were bold. They could do almost anything. That's the first thing we get taught. There's nothing you can't do if you really want to do it badly. But it's going to be the hard. 2 or 3 reasons. You're not educated, you're not right, you're not proper, these things. So you have to have the quality from within. And that comes from you. That's the question.
Hey, that's all right.
I'm not a talker. I'm not talking that I do. Okay, I want you.
And you to do this.
You have to go up. No, I can teach that up, but I don't do that.
Now, I saw you teaching young students, and you had some young, very, very young. I saw one kid, 8 years old, playing drums.
Oh yeah, I started at 2.
Oh, wow.
I mean, this kid was
Amazing.
So that's another thing. That's why I like the question, because I don't do too much talking. The child has to feel good. That's my job. Do the things to make you feel good. So, like you were saying, when they ask to do this, can you play this, can you play that, can you play? Let's learn. And that's what I do.
Now, are you surprised at some of your students, like Craig Lindsay, who can play every instrument? Every instrument. Saxophone, trumpet, guitar, bass, drums. I don't know any musicians that can do that. And to be honest with you, you're the impetus for that. You're the reason that he has dedicated his life to learning and just, I mean, it's just a perpetual, he's 65 plus and he's still learning music, experimenting.
Because if you want to do it bad, then you can do it. And that's what within and within here. I mean, the people, adults, and some of the speeches that I go on, that's that first question, what could we do? Start the moral practicing. Practicing on what? What do you want to play? Those are the things you got to get in the head first, because if you're playing an instrument because of somebody else playing it, you got to figure out if that's what you really want to do. They may really want to do that, so they constantly go up, you go down because you don't know what you want to do. You have to figure out what you want to do first. And that's what they can not just do. Thank you.
Now you have spawned, man, so many great musicians from John Kashan, Mary Olita Adams, Norman Brown, Scooter Powell. There's so many, the litany just goes on and on and on. You must be really proud of the legacy that you kind of built, because they take your lessons forward, and everywhere they sing your praises. How do you feel about that?
You see? And really, that's the way I feel. In other words, if you really want to do it, you can do it. That's my information to anybody.
Rosalind Story, violinist with the Dallas Philharmonic, and there's so many of your students that are still playing as of today. So, I mean, that
They really wanted to do it. So when they came to me, that was a reason to do it. Our kids want something. They want a reason to do something. They get tired of getting slapped on the hand and told to do what to do. My question is, what do you want? That's what's the answer. We have students coming in, I want to play the violin. I'll look at them pretty soon. I want to, okay, we can start on the violin. Your acts and your facial expression tell me that's not what you want to play. What do you want to play? I really want to play the drum. Over here. Pick up sticks. Oh, got it. All together different. And that's what I had to go through with the parents. That sounds bad. I'm not talking about you all bad. But the parents a lot of times want, oh, yeah, I want him, he's going to play drum because his brother did, uncle did. I want him to play. Would you like to play drum? No. We lost them up. We spent all my time and energy there to try to make you do it. My question is, what do you want?
what's gonna make your heart sing?
And that's what it does. It's in here and in here. Now, I want to do the other thing. Question, because I'm not a talker, as you see.
Yeah, if anybody has any more questions, they can direct them to me.
Yes.
So, Mr. Brady, I was probably 6th grade, and I started taking lessons from you, the guitar. And I wanted to play the guitar, but it was the regular guitar, but I wanted to play the electric guitar. And my grandpa, we were poor, so I don't know where he came up with the money to pay for lessons, but he did. It was because of me that I didn't continue. It was because of me, because I wanted to play the electric guitar. But I thank you for teaching me for the short time that I was here with you, sir. What an honor.
Thank you. Well, I couldn't do it better. Better backing than that.
Yes, sir.
That's the question. That's what I like. I like the question. I'm not a speaker. I'm a player. My answer is
He is a good player too.
Absolutely.
Question.
I don't have a question, but I'm not going to pass up this opportunity. I'm so happy to see you, Mr. Brady, and I'm glad that you're sharing your story here with us today. And I got a quick one that I just need to share because it kind of makes me cry when I think about it. I was a senior at Sumner High School, and Mr. Brady asked us, were we going to try out for majorettes? And I said, well, no, because I can't play an instrument or all like this and that. He said, I got you. So I tried out for majorettes. I made it, and I had to go into beginners for a clarinet. I was terrible, but he always encouraged me, And he was such a good teacher, and I remember growing up in the hood, I really was broke. I was really poor. But anyway, I got thrust. I went into a Quaker college in Iowa. There were 60 jocks there, football players, basketball players there on scholarship, and 12 women there. And I decided I wanted to go into elementary education. Long story short, you had to take elementary music, elementary art, and all those things. Here I am, my first year in music at my senior year. And the story that went around, the music teacher was from Kansas City, and all the black kids failed his class. They always had to go through his class twice. And so I had taken this test, and of course I failed it. But my boyfriend was on the basketball team, and he went on my behalf and said, no, she can do this. And he agreed to let me take the test over again. But he sat right in front of me, and I was sitting at my table. And one of the questions that makes me cry today, one of the questions was we had to transpose something. And Mr. Brady taught us how to count up
Right,
and
exactly.
sharp and all like that.
Mhm.
And the man was sitting across from me and I was doing that. And he looked like this, white man, looked at me like that and said, well, how do you know how to do this? I said, my band director taught me. For the second time, I took that test. I passed that test. So I was the only one that didn't have to go back through his class again. Thank you, Mr. Brady. Thank you for loving us and making us learn and showing us the way. Thank you, sir.
Yeah, Mr. Brady was one of a kind. Go ahead.
I had one of those similar type testimonies, but it said behalf of my son because when my son was about 5 or 6 years old, Daniel Dantzler, he played music by ear as a 3 or 4-year-old. So I actually took him to Mr. Brady with Mr. Brady for quite a few years, and on the ground was his guitar teacher. He started out with the violin and with different instruments, but he actually did the guitar lessons for quite a few years. He did not major in music, but he still created music, write, create, play, doing his own thing. He went on to college and got a degree in engineering and worked in corporate America, but music is his passion. Okay. Today, it's still his passion. He's looking now to do his own company, but he has a music part of his company that he's doing because that is his passion. So he's still kind of working on it, and it's all because he went straight to that people for 13 years.
So he inspired, Mr. Brady
Mr.
inspired.
Brady in that area, absolutely.
I appreciate that.
I have a comment and a question, if I might.
The Chester Owens.
Well, for 14 days I was in Charlotte, North Carolina. And one day the news came on, and one of the high schools from suburban area, they were going to Paris, and 100 bands from America was going to Paris. And it was a big thing. It was a big thing in Charlotte. Said this is the first time any band will ever have a chance to go to Paris. And of course, my mind reflected back to Mr. Brady. And they had money. And this speaks to this community, because this community, the northeast area of the community, because I made the last report, had raised just a little bit over $20,000 just from the neighborhood. Matter of fact, I have a list. One Saturday we went out and we covered the whole neighborhood. And I have a list where people donated. We asked everybody to just put in $2. I still have the list of what people put in $2. But it just points out Sumner High School, what Sumner High School did. The question that Mr. Brady, I'd like to know if you will respond to it. Why did you retire? You might want to go into that. What happened when you came back from Paris? What happened when you came back from Paris? And why did you leave? Why did you retire? And what did they do with the uniform?
Excellent question. Well, I mean, I will address part of it. They've earned the uniforms, right?
And broke all the drum heads. And bent all the instruments so they couldn't be played.
And then they ripped the Spartan head out the floor. As he was a witness. He actually saw it. Mr. Dobson saw them taking out the Spartan heads. I mean, that would bring tears to my eyes. I don't know about any of y'all, but
Are you meaning the Spartan head that was in the floor
that's correct.
that my class put in?
That your class
Oh,
did.
okay.
They had picks and axes, and they were taking out the floor. He couldn't believe it. He said,
It's back now.
"Yeah, it's back now. Now it's back." So, but what a disturbing sight. You have to admit. So, what were the circumstances of your retirement when you eventually stopped teaching? Were you forced to stop teaching, or were you just told, no longer do I have a job? Or
I
what?
don't even know what that word is for.
Right.
Not in mine, not in mine.
Not in your vocabulary.
Just decided it was time for me. And because things weren't changing enough. In other words, they were changing. In other words, when all this happened, with the school district and so forth, and as it was staying, and that it broke all the drums up. And I had, and that's another thing, they had a color, uniform and so forth, that if it was me, I would just look just like the kids. Pigeon, March. Why? Look at what I have on. That's not why I'm marching this way. So I, as the first time I got shoes out, all that uniform, gold and black. That's what I got from my kid. This type, not this type. And most people say, well, that didn't make any difference. You didn't have to do that. The uniform didn't make that much difference. I would be willing to make a bet, and I don't bet on things. Give a child a funny looking something, especially when you do a lot. You give them some dynamite. You can do it. Those are the things and those are the kind of things I like to talk about. I'm not an oratory or whatever. When they say we want you to talk to, I like response. From the very beginning, like we were talking about when we first started, outside, not the school. That was the first thing I ran into this guy about.
Right, back when you were a child.
So you have to know what you want to do. Because the child can feel what you want. Yes.
I was going to say, you never talked about when you did the halftime show for the Chiefs. That was so much fun.
She's right. She's absolutely right. In '72, you did the first half. But you did the first halftime show for the opening of Arrowhead Stadium, too. Boy, that crowd must have been.
My people in New York, they were calling me saying, I see you on TV twirling your fire baton.
It must have been crazy. I mean, Arrowhead, as you will know, is just, I mean, it gets tuned up pretty big.
Well, but that's what you do with your children. My children, my children. I treat those children just like I would treat them. Thanks, mine. But I look at every child with a need. It's my job to find out what they need. If they want to play music, go to the let's find out. So to make a long story short, I'm not cutting off. My children, people who don't understand now when I say my children. At that particular time, I had over 1,000 children. When you came into the music room, it became mine. And this is one of the things that you have to accept. You know I'm there. You know what I'm going to be doing. And you come in to me. See, we put ourselves as such on the child. So you're going to find out what they want to do first.
Mr. Brady, you taught how many thousands of students? How many?
7,000.
Wow.
7,000.
And I'm still there.
All these people that want to take a seat here, sir.
Oh, no, it's not.
No, it's okay. I want to talk to you about something else. Mr. Brady, as everyone knows, will be 90 years old next Friday.
Oh, wow.
Stand on that.
Absolutely. 90 years old next Friday. I mean, he's about ready to do the same thing.
Yeah.
But how do you feel about turning that auspicious 90 years old? Man, if I can even get close, I'd be very happy. Well,
It's only a number.
That's right.
No, I'm serious. Most people don't realize that. They ask me, and Well, several of them called me a lie to my face. It was a compliment. I told them, 90 years. And that, the leg that I was lifting at 50, I can still live. I don't see. Because I think I can do it. Without your clap, we just got, I mean, that showed what I was right. So instead of just walking down, I'm marching.
All right now.
I teach. You can do what you want to do if you want to do it badly enough. That's why all this gunning and stuff, people say, that's what they want to do. Because it's easy. We made it easy for them. I said, wait, here's a gun that was fired 99 times. The body wouldn't be there when it gets up. So you didn't want to kill it, you wanted to splatter. That's the way I look at music. Music is something I think is sent from the image that he either wants you with it, and if he wants you with it, you can do it. Because you first of all, you tell yourself something else. I'm not a speaker when I say speaker.
You're doing pretty good.
Yeah.
You're doing pretty good.
Yeah.
Unless I got my kids sitting So, any questions? That's the main thing.
Absolutely.
Another time?
Yesterday, when I watched the film again for I don't know how many times on Sumner, it was mentioned that you were at Northeast first. And I believe that when I was a majorette at Northeast, you were there. Of course, I never played an instrument, but I was a high stepper at Northeast. So I remember those days and how much fun we had. I remember when our 9th grade team, and I was in that team at Northeast, we marched on the field at Sumner in our black leotards. And I think it was Wilda Oliver, but I'm not sure, leading us, and she was twirling a baton with fire. So that's been a long time ago.
Twirling.
Yeah. Yeah. So I remember how you helped us to learn how to step, to learn how to be, how to present ourselves, even as early as junior high school. So thank you.
Yeah, Mr. Brady not only taught us about music, he taught us about life. And how to be a gentleman, and, just the subtleties of being courteous. He taught us all that kind of stuff, and it stayed with me forever. So I'm eternally grateful to you, Mr. Brady. I'm announcing the next Saturday, we're gonna have a birthday party for Mr. Brady at the Bruce Watkins Cultural Center. It'll be from 1 p.m. to 5. We invite everybody to come out. Let's sing happy birthday to Mr. Brady, cut some cake,
Did you bring the flyers today?
Yes, I did. So I have. You can take a picture of it. So we're encouraging everybody to come out. We're gonna have a few bands, some music that day, and we're just gonna honor Mr. Brady. So.
And I think while we're here, since everyone may not be there, we should
Yeah.
all sing happy birthday.
Thank you.
Happy
birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, Mr. Brady. Happy birthday to you. It has been an honor to chat with you guys and my good friend, Mr. Brady. Can't say enough about him. I get emotional.
I do too.
But thank you all for coming and listening to Mr. Brady's wisdom. And I guess we can all take that to heart and take this.
And thank you for writing that book.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
It was something I enjoyed. My wife will tell you, I really enjoyed this.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Appreciate you all.
Can I get a selfie with him?
No more. Oh, absolutely.